G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller, and I'm doing some video blogs, and lately they are on stuff that's happened at clinics. I'm doing some clinics in Australia pretty soon, so I'm kind of going through the old memory banks and coming up with some stories of things that happened at clinics. And I did a clinic at a place in Australia one time, and a lot of the people there wanted to kind of do the reining, you know what I mean? But their horses, you know, just couldn't do anything on a loose rein. They kind of forced them just to walk because I wanted to either stop or run off and all sorts of things. Anyway, so we went through some very, very basic stuff this clinic, okay? Getting those horses just where they would turn loose and walk, trot and count on a loose rein, get them to where you could guide them and then leave them alone, you know, teaching them how to back up softly, that sort of thing. And so, you know, we got through all those basics in the clinic. So I went back to the same place about 3 months later, and half the people had decided that that's too boring and too slow because I don't want to do that stuff. I want to do all the really technical stuff. I want to spin and stop and do the cool circles and all that sort of stuff. And and the other half had stuck to the basics. So when I went back to the second clinic, the half that had stuck to the basics, well, they were ready to go on to the next thing. And the guys that hadn't stuck to the basics and jumped ahead to try to do all the technical stuff, guess what? Your technical stuff's not working because your basics don't work, so we had to go back again. Anyway, so that was that clinic. And probably another 3 or 4 months later, so I went there almost every 3 or 4 months, 3 times in a row. So the third time I go back, so it is now 6 months from the first time I went there, 6 or 7 months from the first time I went there. There's the half that have worked on the basics, and we get to the next lot of basics, and you know, after you do a lot of basics, you're putting them together and you start making complicated things, you start making technical stuff. And it was all been pretty cool with the half that had stuck with the basics. The guys that had said after the second clinics, yeah, but that's boring and I don't want to do that, I want to do this stuff. Guess what? 6 months after the first clinic, they were still in the same place they were when I went there the first time, because they didn't want to do the basics. They wanted to actually do the stops and the spins and force it all to happen instead of teaching them how to do it. The other lot of people, the other half of the clinic that actually stuck to the basics 6 months later, that was 6 months further along. Their horses were actually doing some pretty cool things, and like, you know, you're not going to train a reiner in 6 months, but they were so much closer to getting where they wanted to be than the guys who didn't have time. You know, I don't have time to do that stuff, yeah, but 6 months later they're in exactly the same place they were at the beginning. So the moral of that story is, you know, there's a process to everything, whether it's fixing the problem horses and starting at the beginning and getting one thing working, and because all your ideas, one thing turns into the next thing and turns into the next thing. We don't just start here, we start here, and this thing has to be really good and it turns into this, which turns into this, which turns into this. Then you add some of this and you put it together and you end up getting really where you want to go. But anyway, so the moral of this story is if you can stick with the basics and make them really, really good, it won't take very long till you get to where you want to go. But if you think you don't have time to do that stuff, it'll be 5 years later and you'll still be in the same place. Anyway, something to think about. See you guys next time.